Picked up by Pasternak, 3-on-2. Pasternak.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your one-stop scoop shop for your Boston Bruins. This is Tommy Bennett. I am proud to bring you this episode with BSEN. Last episode, I talked about how this would be pretty much the Bruins. Let's see what they're made of type of week. They started 3-0. You beat not the greatest Washington Capitals team, but still a good hockey team. A team that literally they have talent. Tom Wilson, Ovechkin, Ryan Leonard. Like, they do have good depth. They do have a good team. But you were able to beat them, and there were a lot of positives to take out of that first game. Then you beat the Blackhawks in the back and forth game, and you did well there. Systematically, you pretty much neutralized what was a very weak Buffalo Sabres team. You felt good about yourself. And then you take on Tampa Bay. And that Tampa Bay game was a game you can make a case you probably should have won that game. You can make a compelling case that the Bruins could have escaped with maybe at least a point. But they had some defensive miscues. The turnover by McAvoy, getting caught sleeping. I mean, make a play, dump the puck. Just do something with it, and then it just snowballed from there. Zadorov making that cross-ice pass attempt, and it gets picked off, and they go, and you can't even fault him for the third goal. Just a beautiful move, and you give credit to the Bruins. They fought back, they battled back, they made it a 4-3 game, but it's too late. It's just too late at that point. But you really wanted to see what they're made of over the next 4 games. You take on a very good Vegas team. I did the little preview in the last video. It's a team that they're really good offensively. Defensively, they do give up a lot of chances. So you will feast on, if you can feast on your opportunities, which the Bruins ultimately did do. We'll kind of get into it. You want to see what you're made of against Colorado, a team that is beatable, but still a team that is better than you. And then Utah was probably your biggest, you can win this hockey game. And then you got to come home and play Florida, the Brad Marchand Bowl. Florida team that definitely looks beatable. I watched them play the Devils last week, and you could tell they're missing Kachuk and Barkov. You're having guys, especially for Barkov's injury, you're having guys slot up that lineup that maybe are playing, a higher role than maybe they should. But ultimately, the Bruins lost all 4 games, guys. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, they lost every game this week. On this road trip and at home, they lost. What we are going to be talking about is really from the Vegas game on. The Vegas game, I think they literally just left Jeremy Swayman out, hung to dry. They did. This was when it came down to like generating chances. I thought the Bruins did a really good job. They definitely, for the chances that they did get, credit to them. They took advantage of a goaltender in Akira Schmid, who's not very good. But they left Swayman out, hung to dry. The first goal, Arvidsson gets his skates twisted up, falls over. Easy goal, really nice shot. the the shorthanded goal by Carlson. I mean, that's really what doing the Bruins is some good special teams play by Vegas. Carlson, just a breakaway. It's just the game was basically a game where they left Swayman hung out to dry. And you can't do that against a good Vegas hockey team. You just can't do that. They're going to feast all over. They have way too much talent to not do that. But you feel good. It's like, okay, you battled back. You made a one-goal game. My biggest gripe with this entire week isn't so much the Vegas game. Like, I didn't expect them to beat Vegas. So them losing a game, probably should have lost by more, but you were in it. You can pat yourself on the back. You can give yourself the whole nod. My gripe is the rest of this week. That's my gripe. The Colorado game was a game where, you didn't show up. Let's start there. The Bruins didn't show up. The Bruins, talk about a team that, and I think you're going to see this the rest of the year. You face a Colorado Avalanche team that is quicker than you, that plays with a lot of pace. They can dictate the pace of the game. They will skate circles around you. Why? Because they have that type of speed in their lineup. In the preview I just talked about how you can neutralize that speed. Can you slow down Nathan McKinnon, generating chances off the rush? Can you neutralize the Marty Natcheses, the rest of that lineup? Their depth really doesn't do a lot. It's really the Nathan McKinnon show. And in this game, and it was the Nathan McKinnon show. Not going to fault Swayman for the first goal, just a bad turnover, and McKinnon goes in on a breakaway. That just really is what it is. Relatively even first period, and then the Bruins just died. They just died. And really it was a speed game. You saw just how slow the Bruins are as a hockey team. You saw a team that really just got skated around. And I think you're going to see that the rest of the year. And then you look at, I mean, we're going to get into it, but this is a team that had 7 combined shots on goal in the final 2 periods. Like, that's not good enough. And Jeremy Swayman played as good as you could ask him to. I mean, he really did. Yeah, I mean, the Bruins left him hung out to dry. There's nothing about it. They left him hung out to dry. He played as good as he could have. And then you get to Utah, it's the same thing. You had two good goals by David Pastrnak, which you feel good about. And then you have 3 shots on goal in the third period of a tie game. Where's the effort? That's something you see. And then you go to this Panthers game. And this Panthers game, yeah, if you didn't watch the game, you're probably like, oh, wow, the Bruins, they lost by 1 goal. That's good. Contextually, no, that's not good. Contextually, it's actually the opposite, because the Bruins played pretty bad for the first 40 minutes of the game. They really showed up in the third period. You know, you had that really gorgeous goal by Pavel Zacha. Good movement on the power play with Pastrnak to kind of force your way. They tie the game late, and then in just the ugliest fashion possible, the Bruins lose that game. Puck hits post, hits peak skate, goes in. Just, you couldn't draw it up any shittier. I'm just being honest. But you lose a game. You lose a game that you battled back, but you played ugly. And that's kind of like where I want to start. Like, I really want to start with the Colorado game. The Vegas game is just a wash. Like, I mean, when it comes to like the expected stuff the Bruins generated, I mean, it's probably their best 5-on-5 game they've played all year. They generated the most expected goals for during 5-on-5 play over Vegas. I mean, the margins were close, but it wasn't anything crazy. But they did score 4 goals, which is most goals they've scored at 5-on-5 in any game they've played so far this season. So you'll take that. You will. You'll take it. You'll enjoy it. But a lot of their metrics are inflated at 5-on-5 based on that one game. Because you get to the rest of that road trip, the Bruins generated just 0.65 expected goals for during 5-on-5 play. I mean, that's abysmal. That is as subpar gets. And then for a Utah team that does allow chances, the Bruins only generated 1.01 expected goals for at 5-on-5. It's ugly. You saw truly how bad things were for Colorado across the board. How do I want to frame this? Because there's really, it was an ugly game all around. Like the Bruins truthfully did essentially nothing with the puck. I mean, the first period I thought they put together like a decent effort, and the rest of it was just abysmal. I mean, all situations they generated just 1.14 expected goals for to 3.91 expected goals against. I mean, Jeremy Swayman, despite allowing 3 goals, played really well. I mean, he finished the game with a 919 save percentage, 3.52 expected goals against, allowed 3, so he still played above his head at 0.52. He played about as expected as it gets. Bruins did a really good job of limiting high danger areas, but this team's offense was just so bad. And you did see some changes because the Bruins forward lines did virtually nothing in this game, especially from expected goals for percentage. Like, there was a point where Marco Sturm literally was saying, "My grinders have been my best players," and he's not wrong. The fourth line has been the team's best line majority of the season in just about every game. Like, you looked at the Washington game, super duper impactful, and it kept carrying that way. I mean, and I'm not saying that the fourth line carried a lot of the play, but even though they didn't lead in the shot attempt department, they still finished with the best expected goals for percentage at 64.02% and did get a goal. John Beecher, right off the bat. But you saw the Casey Middlestat, Michael Acima, Morgicki line. Don't know why he changed that up, but he did. 0% expected goals for percentage. Elias Lindholm, Pavel Zacha, David Pastrnak, 7.24%. Fraser Minton, that third line with Arvidsson and Janot, just 9.92%. Like, that's not good. That's really bad effort. Really not great effort. Basically getting caved in heavily, just not generating any offense. And then you get to this Utah game, and it's no better. And I understand you're coming into a back-to-back. Like, back-to-backs are not easy. They're not easy at all. But you came into this game and put forth another goose egg of a performance. You didn't really generate a lot of anything. 1.01 at 5-on-5 is just really not good. It's really not good at all. And you didn't generate much against the Utah team that allowed it, and you didn't even face Karel Vejmelka. Vejmelka's been one of the better goalies all year long, especially when you look at like the goal saved above expected department. I mean, he's still 8th in the league at 4.7, which is really great to see. Jeremy Swayman, 3.4. We're going to kind of get to this in a minute. I'm just still trying to briefly recap. But yeah, this team was bad. 2.2 expected goals for. So really, you generated one extra goal just due to special teams play compared to what you did during 5-on-5, which is really not good. Shot attempts were relatively even. Shots on goal were pretty much dead even. It's just you didn't generate a lot of offense. And credit to Jonas Korpisalo. He still played relatively well. I mean, he kept the team really in it. I mean, you're not doing much. I mean, he still finished with 0.6 goals saved above expected. That's good. The difference is they allowed a lot of high danger chances, and Korpisalo held his own, but 2 of the goals, that's 2 of the 3 goals came from the high danger areas, which is, you don't love to see that, but it just is what it is. I mean, we'll kind of get into more for the analytical, really deep dive takeaways. But you get to this Florida game, and they just didn't really do a ton of anything. I mean, it was very low-event offense at 5-on-5. I thought the first period was very tightly contested, a lot of tight checking. You definitely don't hate to, you allow the power play goal, which is, just is what it is. You don't love it, but it happens. But I mean, overall, like, the Bruins, I thought, did a good job. It was probably their second period was probably the best second period they've played all season. The first time they actually allowed, they generated more expected goals than they actually allowed, which is pretty impressive if you're the Bruins. Panthers really controlled the third, but the Bruins did battle back and just lose in ugly, ugly fashion. So now we get to the meaty stuff, the fun stuff. So one thing I've really enjoyed about this Bruins team, really particularly Marco Sturm, is he's not afraid to hold anybody accountable. He's not afraid to tell players that they're not playing well or just hold them accountable for just poor play. Like, we were 7 games in, and Casey Middlestat got scratched. He got scratched after the Colorado game. That's here nor there, but he did. Then he bounces back. He has a really good game against Florida, multi-point game. But that's kind of what he does. He's very streaky. He'll give you a flash in the pan for talent. He'll give you a flash in the pan for this. And then it'll kind of go ghost. I mean, we're kind of familiar with that with what's it called? Jake DeBrusk. We did that. We did the ghost thing. We did the, what he's capable of. But I do think also Jake DeBrusk much more complete player overall. So that's really the nice part. But then you saw it again in this Florida game with Mason Lowry. The AJ Greer goal, just bad, just not great. Something that Sturm kind of held accountable for in his press conference, like acknowledging that it is on him. Like, those 2 goals were on him. But he also did say, too, like, those are things that can be corrected. So if people just read, someone's tweet and just like, oh, he's calling out the player, it's like, no, he's objectively criticizing the player. He's objectively saying, like, this is what went wrong, and this is how we can fix it, and what they have to work on to correcting what's the problem. That's the difference. What do you do with Mason Lowry? I think this is a year where Mason Lowry is supposed to take the next step. I think this is a year where you want to see more development out of him. So far, it's not great. If you look at it metrically, it's not great. I'm going to kind of go ahead and share the screen for people who are on video. Just so that way, if you're on video, you can see it. If you're not, I'm sorry. But so we're looking at the expected goals against, and this is just bad if you're looking at it, especially from a defenseman standpoint. Now, granted, they're playing larger minutes than like your forward group, but you can really clearly see that the pairing of Charlie McAvoy, Mason Lowry just isn't working. I mean, they are basically the top 2 in terms of expected goals against. 7.5 for McAvoy, Mason Lowry at 6.53. Granted, they are usually paired together. But when you do look at this, and this is all from 5-on-5, by the way. When you do look at this, though, it's like, okay, like, this is why plus minus is a very misleading stat, because you can be completely away from the play, but as long as you're on the ice, you're going to get taxed with that plus or minus. So for the expected goals against, it literally is what you are physically doing. Like this has total impact on you. And it's not good when you see, those two at the top, but Mason Lowry, I mean, you can see the offensive impact, 4.52 expected goals for, like you do love to see that. That's actually I want to see if I can filter that. That's still the second most. So it's a very feast and famine type of thing where they are going to feast on their opportunities, but defensively they are getting absolutely pummeled. Doesn't matter if it's high danger area, doesn't matter if it's scoring chances. I mean, Mason Lowry at least shots for, shot against is right at 50%. Same with goals for, goals against, but getting absolutely caved. I mean, that pairing alone. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a second. Let me get. But yeah, the pairing just hasn't worked, and it's just a shame because you were kind of thinking that maybe this could be the pair for the Bruins. Like McAvoy could be that mentor, but yeah, it's not great. I mean, you look at Lowry McAvoy, 4.1 expected goals for, 5.5 expected goals against. When it comes to actual production, like the goals for, goals against, you're on the ice for 5, you're off the ice for 6. So it's a very feast or famine type of thing, but that pairing just not great. I want to actually look at the defensive pairs. Ooh, I didn't even know Natural Stat Trick had just defensive pairs. That's actually really, really nice. So you can separate the defensive pairs and the forward group, which is really, really nice, actually. But I want to look at this a lot deeper. This is so much better than Money Puck. But this team, the shot attempts are like dead even, very, very feast or famine, 99. Not great. The shots, you got a little bit more, but the goals you're getting outscored 6-5. It's not great. Expected goals for 3.98, but your expected goals against is 4.88. So you're just it's not working, and you almost have to think that who needs the stabilization? Is the stabilization coming, like, does McAvoy need a stabilizer, or does Mason Lowry need a stabilizer? Because something truly has to give somewhere. Like something has to give at some point. Like, I mean, high danger areas, you're getting caved. Let's see, what are the high danger areas? It's not too bad. I mean, 2017, but it's like you're giving more than you're taking. Something's got to give with that pair. I don't really know, and especially with Hampus Lindholm being kind of up in the air, you don't really know what this team is actually going to do. And Mason Lowry, he thrives more with the puck on his stick. He thrives more when the puck is in possession for the team. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but this Bruins team struggles offensively still. And I don't think it's sustainable. Like I said, that one game, which was Vegas, was an outlier for their 5-on-5 scoring. Like, the Bruins have 14 goals scored at 5-on-5. Okay, you take away that goal outburst, you're literally 28th in the league in goals scored at 5-on-5 with Detroit tied 10. I mean, granted, again, these samples are super small. And granted, the Bruins have played more games than some teams. But it's just it's more of an outlier because they literally don't average a lot when it comes to goal scoring. It's super, super stressful. Like, I did my latest article on it. They can't generate offense. I mean, their expected goals for per 60 is, I was about to say, there's no way they're top 10. There's no way. Where are they on this list? They're 30th. You're 30th in the league in expected goals for per 60 with 2.15, which now is tied with the Oilers, which I guess that makes you feel better. But their expected goals against is not good. That's not good. They are sixth in the league in terms of the most at 2.97. This is all at 5-on-5. You go to just in general, their expected goals against is the highest in the league at 17.74, and they've allowed 19 goals at 5-on-5. This team just struggles to generate offense, and I'm sorry, but the piss and vinegar thing just doesn't work. It didn't work last year. I don't know how it's like this team needs goal scoring, and this team needs an influx of talent. And all they did was sign Michael Eyssimont, which he's been okay. Tanner Jeannot, I haven't noticed out there. I'm not even going to harp on Sean Corrali because I think Sean Corrali's been great. I think he's been great in his role on the fourth line. I think he's been great on the penalty kill, which is really what's holding this team together is the penalty kill and the goaltending. But this team doesn't have talent, and they don't have speed. This team is – look, they might be quicker than last year, but they're still a slow hockey team. It's not a very fast team. They don't play with a lot of pace. They're not very quick. You can't really do the dump and change thing because you're not a fast team. Like, you're not the Carolina Hurricanes that can dump the puck in the team's opposite end of the ice and forecheck and feast on that opportunity to go get it. You just can't do that. That is a quick team with a relentless forecheck, and the Bruins just aren't that. They're slow. They don't play with a lot of speed. But hey, we need piss and vinegar because teams are going to want to hate to play against us. Teams are probably excited to play against you because you're slow and you're going to keep giving up chances. Defensively, it's not great, but it's not my biggest concern. They're still middle of the pack in expected goals for, which, okay, you'll take that, I guess. But Bruins are just also really bad once again in the high danger areas of the ice for the second year in a row with 76 high danger chances against. That's really bad. You don't really want to be in the company of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks, but defensively they do find it. And I don't think this is a team that legitimately is poor entirely defensively. I think they just spend way too much time defending because they just don't possess the puck. And then when they do possess the puck, they don't really do anything with it. I kind of harped on it in my article that I wrote for the Hockey Writers. The Boston Bruins need an injection of speed. They need something. They need an injection of talent. If the offense continues to lag into this week, like you play the Ducks tomorrow, and the Ducks are an interesting team, right? Their Corsi for percentage is pretty positive. They still allow a little bit more, chances during 5-on-5. The expected goals for department is relatively even, so they're gonna take their chances, but they're gonna give them up too. They do have Lucas Dostal. Lucas Dostal is a phenomenal goaltender. I love Lucas Dostal. Really happy he got his payday. But yeah, Lucas Dostal, shockingly only 1.6 goals saved above expected, 904 save percentage. If they face Peter Mrazek, I will jump for joy because Peter Mrazek is not good. But yeah, this team is still really offensively inept. I think unless you're getting contributions from David Pastrnak, I love the start to the season Elias Lindholm's had. He's looked really good, playing with a good chip on his shoulder. Or even Morgan Geekie, who needs to kind of break out of his shell and start shooting the puck more. That's my personal opinion. This team's going to be – it's going to be tough to win games. And I know a lot of these scores have been close, but contextually watching these games, this team just – they struggle to generate offense. They struggle to capitalize. They're not a very good offensive team. And I think this team is good enough to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, like the Chicagos, potentially the Ducks. You beat the Capitals. You beat the Sabres. The Sabres aren't a very good hockey team. You should have beat Utah. who's now 4-0 since debuting their mascot, which good for them. But this team's got a lot of work to do, and I can't see how they've managed to look at last season and not add offense. They managed to look at last season and not really do anything. And I understand you maybe want to develop some of these young guys, and they're performing in Providence. Patra's got 5 assists, no goals. Blumel's got 6 points. Lascelles got 6 points. Merkulov once again leads the team. I don't think you're going to see Georgi Merkulov. I think if they wanted to integrate him, they would have already. Blumel's doing the same thing he did last year, tearing up the AHL. But at what point do you look at this offense and say we need to make a call-up? I'm kind of on the point of, I've always said, and I said this in the Discord, say it here. I've always said the Bruins need to play as many kids as possible. The Boston Bruins need to play as much of their youth as they can. Take a page out of the Boston Red Sox playbook and play the kids. Play as many as you can. I know baseball's different. You call a lot of them up at the end of the year, but they started the year integrating Campbell. And then they finally called up Anthony. It took longer than expected. They did. You had Marcelo Meyer in the fold too. You had young guys on the team. And the Boston Bruins need as much youth into this lineup and guys that can play with speed. You need speed. You need creativity. They don't have it. They really don't. Do you want to look at the week ahead? I know there's a Saturday game, but the Ducks is going to be a fun one. That's a fun game. That's a fun team. Let's see their schedule for this week before I record next. Okay, so I'll probably wait till possibly next Wednesday to record my next one. But you got the Ducks tomorrow at home, Colorado again at home, Ottawa on the road, and then you come home to the Islanders. It's back-to-back, which is fun. The Islanders are fun. Matthew Schaefer is fun. He is a blast. He's a blast to actually watch. But yeah, this Ducks team is going to be really interesting. They give a lot more than they, they're pretty offensively. They are. My God, we'll talk about a line blender. Sheesh. Yeah, that's a solid line. Bennett, Seneke, Mason McTavish, Cutter Gauthier. That's a solid line. They've spent 67.8 minutes together, 5.6 goals, expected goals for, 2.6 against. So they're really controlling the play, which is actually really phenomenal. Rooting for Beck and Seneke. I know a lot of people really dog that pick, but yeah, they're outscoring opponents 3-1. That's their most productive line. Second productive line is Alex Killorn, Leo Carlson, and Chris Kreider. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm very curious how this works. But yeah, a lot of their lines control puck possession. They really do. I forgot they signed Michael Granlund. Good God. Yeah, the Ducks have a very weird roster. But yeah, that their lines control puck possession. They can score goals. Just depends what the Bruins can do. Then obviously we've seen Colorado. They play a very big key speed game. Ottawa's interesting. That's a team that has struggled mightily this year. This is a team that has not gotten off to the start that you kind of wanted to envision for them. They allow a ton of goals. They allow the most goals in the league. Power play is really good. Their penalty kill is abysmal. There's a recipe here for some success. No Brady Tkachuk, so that's a bright spot. I mean, Shane Pinto's gotten off to a nice year. Good for Dylan Cousins. Sabres, stupid trade. Very stupid trade by the Sabres. But yeah, there's that. And then, who do I say? Then you got the Islanders. The Islanders have been a very fun, pleasant surprise this year. This is a team that probably no one expected to do much of anything, but you're getting your first overall draft pick is producing, and he's been arguably their best player on the ice. And it's not even particularly close. So that's been really fun to watch. Like I think the Islanders are a very boring team to watch play hockey, but it's a team that has a very young kid that is just scorching the earth with how good he's been. And his impacts on the game are very, very, very noticeable. They're very noticeable. I think for the Islanders, it's very noticeable. And you love to see it. You really do love to see it. He's paired with Mayfield most of the time. But his offensive impacts, that kid is so much fun to watch. He's very slick. He's creative. Okay, he brings that injection of youth that team needs. And I wish the Bruins took a page out of that. I don't know how much longer they're going to let the kids cook in the minors, but at some point you got to rip that Band-Aid off and you got to just let them go. You got to let them go because it's only going to make the Bruins better. Like I'm not saying this Bruins team is going to be competing for a playoff spot, but you do need to bring the youth, and I'd rather the youth come up and learn and develop together under Sturm than just be buried in the minors. I mean, that's just me. Like that's how I see it. Like if you're going to chalk this up as a developmental year, bring them up here, let them learn the system at the NHL level. Playing against like some of the stiffer competition. Whether you put Potter at 2C, don't know, but I'd much rather take it than Casey Middlestat. And I know they shifted Zaka there. Zaka's had a great start to the year. Bring up Patra. Figure it out. That's just me. I think this team is frustrating. They're slow. They play with no speed. And I think it's just a year where you see teams that do have speed skate circles around them, and it's going to be frustrating. I think Jeremy Swayman's goaltending has been great, but this road trip was let's see what they're made of, and you kind of saw what they're made of. They're a team that's going to struggle against better competition and a team that is not offensively creative, and they don't generate much. And I know it's only 8 games, but a lot of their issues that you saw last year linger into this year. They still struggle in the high danger areas in terms of defensive coverage. They allow the most expected goals against, and teams are scoring more than their expected rate. They're bottom of the league in just about most offensive categories. Take that 4-goal blunder out, and they're not good offensively in terms of scoring. You're just not. You just don't have it. You're very low scoring, low event offense, and it's not good enough. So I really don't know where the Bruins go from here. I really don't. But should be a fun week ahead. If I can get an episode before Tuesday, I will. If not, it'll be Wednesday. And we'll go over all this again. So, without further